morning, everybody. So, as it has been said, we've been busy with this topic for the last 4 or 5 years already, and we've been doing this in practice. I heard a lot of comments about tools, about content, about the learning itself. I heard a lot of very credible comments with regards to the urgency, to the fact that clearly upskilling post-COVID is even more important. We know that the world is changing, and all the things you see on the screen are clearly showing that we need to move swiftly with regard to upskilling. It's a common thought from the business community, with 3/4 of CEO saying clearly that they are really concerned about the lack of skills, of key skills. We know that at EU level, we currently have 61 million people with insufficient basic skills in kind of numeracy, literacy, digital skills, etc. So basically, it's very clear. It's very clear that we need to move. So the last speaker, Mr. Kidd, said we need to be brave enough, and I think Per Lager said the same. We need to be brave enough. The thing is, there is still a lack of awareness about how useful it is, or maybe money-wise, does it make sense? Because we all know that money is at the center of this, because spending time to do training is spending money, and to get your people to spend time to do training. So basically, it works. What we've been demonstrating by all the operations we've been doing around the globe, and this is just one example, is that if you are confronted by the lack of skills and you need to fire someone and to rehire someone, we've been showing that it's a very huge saving to upskill versus to kind of make redundant and rehire. And you see the figures there. I will not go in details because we have limited time. It's the same if you have a vacant job and you need to recruit. If you would have someone very close or not that far on the skill side internally, is it worth doing it? Yeah, we could prove also here that it's extremely worth doing this. And all those figures are coming from industry, are coming from real cases, are coming from countries, figures, data shares, data sets. So we've been proving that financially wise, both for a state, for a region, or for a corporate, it is absolutely valid, and it's quite relative to go into an upskilling operation. Now, if I'm looking at the market trends, we can see from our observatory position, because we are in Luxembourg kind of doing this operation, running this around the world. I was this morning with the Middle East. I'm just during this talk having some news from Singapore. I mean, we are really doing this globally. And what I can tell you is that at government level, at regional level, at corporate level, or at sectoral level, everywhere in the world, there are questions, there are initiatives, being in Costa Rica, in Japan, in Singapore, or even in Angola. Okay, so everywhere, this upskilling topic is booming. Now the question is how to do it. Because basically, we could hear during all those interventions that there is a lot of material available, that there is a lot of training available. We've been citing the Coursera, the LinkedIn Learning, all the initiatives we see. The next question is how to do it. Do we need to upskill everybody at once? Is it possible? So I think there are two major movements which are complex individuals to take the initiative to really take a training and to go online on their own initiative and to take a training of pick up into, which is of course important, but then we rely on their initiatives clearly. And then there is another one, which is basically me as a corporate, as an organization, I need Christian next year to be acquiring those skills. Why? Because I know I'm implementing such a program which is going to have an impact on his job. Yayo, also next year, her job will change because we're going to implement a new interface and a new business model at the IT. She needs to learn new things. And we are not talking about a 3-day training. we are taking about a massive 20, 25, 30 days in order to change the qualification and skill set of an individual on a given year. What experience has been showing us is that in any organization, there is a maximum of 8 to 10, 12% of the headcount, which really needs to change its skill set any given year. So it is well possible. It is well possible for any organization to focus on those 8, 10, 12% and to get those 12% up the ladder in terms of skills. But the question is, how do we do this? It is exactly what we've been confronted with when we developed first the initiative, which is on the slide here, which is called Digital Skills Bridge, which was commissioned by a state actually, which was Luxembourg. And that's where the whole story started. Because those guys, they asked us, well, guys, help us at national level to figure out a way to understand which company are now triggered by transformation. Within each company, which are the population, the individual, the 10% that are going to be triggered by transformation. Help us to understand if they are really aligned with the future job, and if not with that job, with which one. And then to try to find the right training to bridge the skills gap that might eventually be there to occupy this new job. And that's why we've been developing an infrastructure, an ecosystem of solution, which is enabling corporation or institutions or organization to really start by what's the strategy and what's going to change in the job content in the 1 year to come. Why 1 year? Because basically beyond 1 year, no one can predict. In 4 years' time, what are we going to do? Well, basically the technology that's going to be implemented in 4 years might not even not be invented yet. And if we go shorter, 3 months, there is no time to upskill. So the 1 year seems to be the right period. First, we analyze what's going to happen in 1 year. The second block, we understood clearly that corporation, organization, really have little clue about what people can do. So we had to find a way to assess people in a very fast fashion. That's exactly what we do by assessing people on their hard skills, digital skills, and soft skills. We are recreating a skills profile. And this skills profile, we are comparing with the job of the future that's going to be there in 1 year time. And we are matching the skills profile with that job. That gives basically a skills gap. Having this skills gap is enabling us then to understand what's the trajectory people need to take from A to B. And we are also then able to take all the content we've been hearing today about all those fantastic content which has been developed by EIT, by SAP New Digital Learning, by whoever, Coursera, and to try and find the right training in order to fill the skills gap. That's the trajectory we've been in. I heard Per Leger talking about, with a lot of nice words about Singapore, which we agree is one of the mecca of skills in the world today. This solution has been chosen by the state of Singapore to upskill the whole financial sector. And this is currently in implementation after more than 1 year of scrutiny. So basically, again, in a very short word, assessing what the future is about. I think this is really where it's important, because we cannot focus 100% of the population to deliver 20-25 day training. Any corporation would die. It's impossible. Then we need to go in really understanding what people's skills are, to match those skills with the future job, and to match the skills gap basically with the training available. Maybe a few learnings. And I think, again, you will not be surprised. We could clearly understand and see that when we do those assessments and we are looking at which training are needed to fill the skills gap, about 50% of the training delivered were about soft skills, obviously. For the people who know something about the topic, obviously. Something like 30 to 40% were hard skills, and something about 15% were about digital skills. So it's kind of very counterintuitive, because we keep talking about digital skills, and obviously they are very important. But globally, when you're looking at a corporate, when you're looking at an organization, and when you are looking at how we need to upskill people for the next stage, soft skills are playing a critical role. Hard skills are playing a critical role. And there is a mix into that with also the digital skills. So this is in a nutshell what we've been doing. And that's really kind of a compelling case, because then the return on investment you can reach in investing in people for whom you've been already finding the next job. You're only training for a job. So the very big difference between massive training like the one we see in Singapore with the future skills or with the French initiatives, they are extremely interesting. But to be very clear, when you look in statistics, what are those credits used for? In France, if you see, the #1 usage is for driving licenses. And in Singapore is to learn Korean in order to understand the K-pop songs for the youth. I'm not sure this is how we're gonna change the world. So we need to be much more focused in terms of delivering the training we need to the people we need. And this is a way to do it, which starts now to be really widely accepted in the community.